Hi, Meg Schmitz. Thank you for joining me and being a guest on the Resilient Entrepreneur Show.
I've been excited about doing this, and I love the title of your podcast.
Thank you. Thank you. I know we had met and we had discussed being guests on each other's podcasts. So we'll see how we do. I mean, two podcasters interviewing each other. This should be loads of fun.
Should
Loads of
be.
fun. So Meg Schmitz is a franchise guru at FranChoice, and she has owned and operated a franchise for over 20 years and now helps people find a business that's the perfect fit for them. So tell us a little bit more about your business.
So I'm 62, and when I was about 28 years old is when I first became a business owner with Great Clips, which is a franchise. I never knew that I wanted to become a franchisee or an entrepreneur. It wasn't in my DNA, but because of that experience, opening 5 locations, running them successfully, someone made me an offer I couldn't refuse, so I jumped over to this side, to the consulting side. I love helping people figure out if they want to own their own business. A lot of people right now are curious about that. So I am your franchise guru who can navigate through a good research process so that people can answer for themselves, yes, I want to do this, or no, I do not.
Yeah. And I know when we were talking, I work with a lot of people who have exited corporate at a later stage of their career that are considering fractional consulting. But franchise is also a great opportunity for them because it comes kind of with a proven back office marketing strategy brand. It comes as a kit or a box, and then they can go, open a new market, open a new city, and kind of run with things. But I think it has the structure so that someone who's been in corporate their whole life as an employee is used to having corporate back office structure supporting them as a business owner versus going off and building something from scratch, maybe without that support of a corporate back office.
Yeah, I think you and I were talking about this. How many people are exiting their corporate career with gas in the tank? They still want to be relevant. They have a ton of experience they want to share. Fractional is uh, Fractional is fine for a while if you've got a database of clientele you can tap into immediately. But where a lot of those people I find run into an issue is they forget about marketing. They have to continue to build their pipeline, and so for people coming out of a corporate or executive role, that's very unfamiliar and uncomfortable. That is exactly, you're spot on. This is where a franchise comes in because now you don't have to create. You're
Yeah,
following the playbook and you're executing. Executives execute, and that's why franchising is such a great fit.
love that so much. And I think that this is just the beginning of such a great reciprocal relationship with the
Yeah,
people that we know.
yeah.
All right, we're going to get started with the quick fire section. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions to get to know more about your business. And this can be either franchise or your great clips as a business owner, however you choose to answer. Who is or was the first hire in your business?
Oh, that's really interesting. And going back to Great Clips, I was, as I said, about 28 years old. I had no experience doing this. And I didn't cut hair and wasn't ever going to. So I had to trust in the franchise system to help me hire my first people. It turns out that my first hire was a woman who ended up stealing from me. And it took me a long time to figure it out because this is way back in the old days.
Cash
Anyway,
more than credit cards, right?
I ended up calling the police to find out what they would tell me to do. And he said, "Girl, you got 2 choices. You either ignore it or we'll be right over." And I said, "Okay." So he came and arrested her.
Oh, talk about a bad first hire. I mean, I've had made bad hires that ended up being fired, but not usually that result in the police in jail time.
Yeah, well, so that was a really good learning lesson as a brand new owner. I did go back to the franchisor and told them what had happened. I, of course, at that point had probably 15 or 20 employees. But you, as the owner of the business, title of your show, Resilient, the buck
Yeah.
stops here. And so you really do have to pay attention to all the details and take responsibility.
I think, I've been in the technology space. So I'm always interested in how business owners and entrepreneurs scale and do better with systems and tools and software. So What is your favorite software tool that you use daily that you just can't live without?
It has been Zoom, frankly,
Okay.
but Zoom is failing me right now. I don't know what they changed, and the recordings look pixelated now. So I'm testing out Riverside. Is going to be my new go-to. Yep.
Yeah, well, this is a good test for you. That's what I use for podcasts specifically. I do use Zoom for video calls with prospects and customers. I use Teams as well, and it kind of is a what do people prefer? But from a video quality standpoint, I stand behind. My podcast is recorded in Riverside, and I love it. It's an easy place to edit, and um, it has AI for magic clips and quotes. So it's kind of all built in and very user friendly. So this is your first test as a user of or a guest of
Yeah.
Riverside. What about AI? Everyone's talking about AI. It's disrupting a lot of businesses. Do you use AI in your business today?
So for legal purposes, I do not. With my candidates, there are some restrictions about financials and margins and profitability, and that's something that I don't want recorded or documented. That said, I use AI, and this has been a real game changer for me on the personal side, is I put my health records, I put my dog's who's dying health records into AI, and it tells me how to care for my dog. It tells me how to care for my knee instead of getting knee replacement surgery, which is a real thing. I'm taking care of it right now. What's and this is a hack for any of your listeners. If your doctor won't tell you or your lawyer isn't being direct with you, put it into AI for an assessment or a summary, or because all those different tools operate at such a high level of accuracy for the most part, you can get more accurate insights into your situation than you might get from another human being.
I like that also, the dog health and even your health. I think for advocacy, for when you show up to the doctor with the right questions so that you don't feel like you're just listing a bunch of symptoms and problems and whining and complaining and that they're going to easily dismiss you or gaslight you if you're as a aging woman. That sometimes happens to us when we have all these elements and pain points and stuff. So I like that, being more prepared or doing some outside research, and that way you can self-advocate for your dog, for yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's great.
And I think in business, what I'm seeing across the board is even people older than I am, and I'm a dinosaur. I was very resistant to using any sort of artificial intelligence, but it has helped me say to I've written chapters or articles. I write it, but then I put it into AI to get it tightened up and cleaned up a bit or make more salient points.
Yeah.
Very
Yes.
helpful.
Yeah, I agree. I used to use like Grammarly, or there would be, things within spell check within Microsoft Office or Word that you would use, but now you can use AI for that. Perfect.
It cleans you up and makes you look even prettier.
Yeah. Helps you find the word that's just escaping you, right? Do you prefer when you're hiring, do you only hire full-time employees? Do you use contractors? Do you outsource projects? Are you into fractional? You kind of know my bias there, but
Yeah. Yes.
how do you hire?
All right. With a number of businesses that my husband and I have, the answer is yes. We've got 1099s, we've got W-2s, we've got part-time, full-time, and seasonal people
Oh,
who
yes.
work for our businesses. So as is appropriate, and I've always watched the bottom line of my businesses relative to payroll or contractor expense. In fact, just had a situation come up recently with year-end numbers for 2025, had to take a harder look at 4 line items in particular, one of them being payroll. So adjustments are in fact being made at this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the hardest part is as a business owner, it's not personal. It's not about working with friends and family. It's about running a business that needs to deliver a product or service on time at a good price point and value that is profitable.
Yep. Yes, and what I and maybe this will come up with one of your other questions. I'm very proud of my people who lean into the business side of business. To your point, this isn't personal. If we're all going to win at this thing and the win is profitability, then we all have to be pulling on the rope just as best as we can, whether you're part-time, fractional, whatever you might be. I'm still looking for that 100% buy-in, and that's the culture that I'm constantly refining and adjusting so that my people buy into the outcome
Yeah.
and have pride
Yeah.
in the work that they do.
I think that's also important is the 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 workers, the staff, the employees of the company need to know what their contributions are working towards and how they're having an impact and the overall objective or growth goal for the company and how they're a piece of that and make a difference, that they want to feel like they're adding value and contributing as well for the most part. I mean, it might be different with seasonal workers in a retail shop that are teenagers or just working a job to get through college, but most of us at a certain point want to be a part of a team and a company and contribute and add value.
I learned that lesson with Great Clips long ago based on that story that I told about the person who was stealing from me. And after figuring it out and terminating her employment, some of my people came to me and said, "What took you so long?"
Mm,
And I thought about it for a hot second and I said, "Shame on you for not telling me. I cannot fix a broken culture if you're not giving me the eyes and ears. You're there on site more often than I am.
yeah.
I can only create an outstanding workplace for you if we've got accountability." And so that Kate really opened the opportunity for me to talk to my employees. And again, we've got 7 businesses. We're all over the board. We've got blue collar, white collar. To your point, they all want to belong to a team. They want to follow a leader who cares about them. And that means being stable and sound and wholly integrated myself so that I can operate a business that focuses on the outcome for them. Because the happier my people are, the happier my clientele is going to be, and the stronger the revenue, retention, et cetera.
Yes, I agree. I love that. And 7 businesses. We should have dug into one of those specifically and picked one of those businesses. I always get the question like, what are you doing? Why do you have 3 businesses at the same time? Like, how does somebody do that? And um, I think of it as diversification, but also like a portfolio that I'm responsible for. And I have different services and solutions that I can offer through one of my businesses that I am an owner and partner in, or through one of my partners as a referral, if it's not something that I can deliver on. So, but I think too often people are trained to just think singularly in a box, one job at a time, one job title, and subscribe to the rat race of corporate
Yeah.
America.
Yeah, you got hired for a job, so you're in the silo. Don't go over here. And some companies are a little bit more lenient about that than others. But when I'm working with people, I'll ask them, so activities, hobbies, interests, what do you do with your time when you're not at work? Do you realize how many hats you're wearing already? You don't wear just one hat. You're a husband or a wife or a parent, or you've got you've got things that you do to unplug and nourish your soul. So let's preserve that time and those activities. But let's also recognize as human beings that we're amazingly diverse, skilled, curious, interesting human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. Multidimensional. We are more than just
Multidimensional.
our job and our title. Yes. So you've been a business owner for over 20 years, 7 businesses, you help people start businesses. So what is your proudest achievement as a business owner and how did it happen? This is the storytelling part.
So much of what I do, Kate, um, is storytelling and mentoring. So via the mentoring, my proudest moment, honest answer is I love launching new business owners who find success and come back to me. It's always a surprise when they show up on my schedule. I don't know what they're going to be telling me. But proudest is when they get time with me and say, "You changed my life." I didn't change their life. I helped them realize the dream of owning their future. And now they're owning it and finding success and happiness in that. That's why I started my podcast, because I want those stories to come to the surface. It's so rewarding to be able to deflect it back to the person and say, "I didn't do it. I showed you the way. You took the steps. Now look at this thing." It gives me goosebumps actually to talk about it.
Well, I love that you showed them a different path, a path less walked, right? Whatever the Robert Frost quote of "I took the road less traveled in the woods," right? You're giving them an alternative path to a new definition or a new future of success than what they thought was the only choice. I love that. Yeah. And helping inspire other people to go out and take a chance and take a risk and bet on themselves and start a business and grow a business. And then just think about that ripple effect and the community impact that that has, the jobs that that creates, the, you know, the whole ecosystem that that then influences. And if they come back and then are ready to buy another business, if they are successful, if they have enough cash flow or do expansion into another city, maybe.
It's like you were sitting in my office about an hour ago. I had this exact conversation with a gentleman who lives just outside of Minneapolis, kind of on the Wisconsin border side. He and his wife started their franchise last year, hit the ground running. They have had profitable months every month since their first month, meaning they were beyond break even. They're now paying themselves through the business. John came back to me and said, "All right, well, we're ready to do another one."
Good.
I
Yeah.
love that. I
I think
love that.
that's a big success. That's a huge accomplishment and achievement as well. So now the resilient entrepreneur is all about there's highs and lows, and it's very easy for people to shine a light and highlight their successes and their achievements, and you see all the social media posts about the successes and the celebrations, but what we don't often share and be vulnerable about is the hard lessons, the failures, the mistakes, the pivots, the broken, the firing employees, and things that go awry that really make us and that resilient entrepreneur and show us the growth is not a straight line. It's not going to always take off. The person that you just sold the franchise to, John, having profitable months in his first year, you probably don't promise that, right? That's probably an uncommon first year of success. But there's probably a lot of ups and downs and bumps in that road. So are you willing to share one of those stories with us?
Sure. And actually, I have a networking group that meets once a month with anybody I've ever worked with who's ended up becoming a business owner, whether it's through me or they're single shingle, whatever it is. I invite them for free to join my monthly meeting because we all run into left hooks we never saw coming, that damn brick wall, that pandemic. Whoever saw that disruption coming? My husband, who works downstairs, came up at the beginning of the pandemic and said, "I wouldn't want to be an entrepreneur at this point, starting a new concept. There's no network, there's no support structure." Thank
Yeah.
God for franchising. I've had some miserable failures. My first story was a challenge, and it didn't kill me to do what needed to be done. But I was embarrassed and humiliated that I didn't see it and that it had gone on for as long as it did. Fast forward, after being divorced, getting on my feet again, financially doing very well, I invested in a franchise with the CEO of the company, so not as a franchisee, but at the franchisor level.
Okay.
Stole me blind. I'm not going to tell you what the number is, but it is a 7-figure number.
Wow.
And you want to know about humiliation and embarrassment, and how did I not see that? But there are charlatans out there, and liars and cheaters and people who will, narcissists are the worst of them,
Yeah.
because they're charming and delightful, and they entice you, they suck you in. And so with that particular company, it was an amazing concept, but I had the wrong CEO. I had the wrong leader. He exited, took all my money with him, and turned the company back over to his ex-wife, who was truly the founder of the company.
Okay.
And so we worked together for some time, but it was just an irreparable situation, and we parted ways.
Well, trust and integrity is hard to come back from, right? It's hard to rebuild trust and integrity. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and
So
partnerships are hard. That is when you're both making a financial investment and trying to build something together. Partnerships are a challenge.
and I talk to people about the reality of that. It's just like being married. You're going to have to go in with the exit in mind, because at some point somebody is going to be upset and say, that's it, I want out. So it's easier for anyone who's listening to just go forward on your own, and find great mentors, find your networking groups, find a posse of people who will help to hold you accountable.
Yeah.
You're much stronger with a personal board of directors than you are with a partner.
I love the personal board of directors. Personal board of advisors is what I have talked about. I think that's going to be one of my quotes I'm writing down for us. But the mentorship is huge. I love the group that you have too. And I don't know if I qualify and can get an invite to your group,
I will
but
send it to you. Absolutely. You would be great.
I love meeting with other entrepreneurs and sharing, because you're always going to need advice. Who do you use for your lawyer? Who do you use for this, right? How do you overcome things? I think I was also going to say, you probably now have better agreements and contracts in place to protect you, or to have an exit clause if something happens with a bad partnership or in a business relationship. Because you're right, business partnership is a lot like a marriage, and it doesn't have to be till death do you part. And there usually is at some point a separation. There could be a termination of that partnership or that relationship, or an exit, a successful happy ending that is like, we sell a business and we're millionaires from it.
So, as a resilient entrepreneur, I'll tell this quick story. I was married, divorced, married twice and divorced. So I made mistakes personally. I have the forever husband now. We are very successful together, and he put together a personal board of directors, advisors, I being on that board. One of the companies that we own became very difficult. They accused me of nepotism and trying to muscle my way in and take over certain jobs, and which was absolutely false. I'm an advisor. I was not trying to take someone else's job. But they became very extreme and condescending and outreach, phone calls and texts. I went to my husband and said, these are your relatives, by the way. You need to have a conversation with them. He said, you're a big girl. You've been in business for a long time. Figure it out. Well, so about the next 4 days after that, I could hardly speak to him. And on that Friday night, he said, are you ever going to talk to me again? Kate, I was so, I could not have nice words with him. The next morning, Saturday, I got up and took the two dogs out for a walk, and it was like the hand of God reached out of the sky and grabbed me and said, this is exactly what you need to do, and problem solved. So I marched myself back upstairs, and I said to my husband, I need to talk to you as CEO of our family enterprise. And he looked at me quizzically, like I was talking to him. Number one, I said, effective immediately, I resigned from the board of directors. I had total peace with that decision. He got a tear in his eye, and he said, do you mean you want a divorce? And I said, no, Pete, I'm choosing my marriage over business.
Right.
I am choosing to reduce the amount of friction that we have by removing myself from the firing line of these people who do not respect me or my business acumen. That's fine. I will find other ways to plug myself in. I'll be right here. We sleep together. We have meals together. I'm not I'm just not going to be front and center for people to put me on the firing line.
Yeah.
Kate, it was the best thing I ever did.
And I think, well, you kind of mentioned like it was his family business, maybe, or something, right? And I think business with family is one of the toughest things as well. Like that's a whole nother conversation, right? And we have a mutual friend, Jamie, that has been in the family business and can tell and share her stories. And I think it's hard because you have to prioritize the relationship, separate personal from the business, and prioritize the family and the relationship or the marriage over, or the father son, father daughter relationship over the business sometimes.
And as the incoming new spouse,
Yeah.
so so it is a robust conversation that people need to have with their partner,
Yeah.
marriage partner. Any sort of family business has a lot of potential for personal disruption.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the future. So it's a brand new year. Here we're sitting at, 2026. What is your plan on how you're growing one of your many businesses this year?
So I started 2026 with 2025 numbers for all of our businesses so that we could properly evaluate what changes need to be made. My big goal for 2026, because we have so many entities, is to reduce distractions so that I can focus on and give appropriate attention and gravitas to decision points, whether they're exciting changes that are coming up or it was a challenging thing that now needs to be dealt with. The more distracted you are, the easier it is to let things go and not be fine-tuned. And that's
Yeah.
as true for success as it is for something that's a challenge. You
Yeah.
you reduce your ability to monetize when you have too many personal or outside distractions. So that's my big goal for 2026.
I like that. Reduce distractions to help you focus, right? I think that's great. I always like to set new words for the new year. I don't know if reduce distractions or maybe just focus or something is your word for the new year.
Focus is easy to say,
Yeah, hard to discipline. Yeah.
and that's why I shifted it to, okay, why I have these goals and I'm here every day. I'm focused on my business. Focus is different from eliminating the crap that prevents you from getting the level of achievement that you expect from yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And I like to end it with how can I help?
Well, you and I have had some good strategy conversation already. I think the back and forth for you and me is that I'm talking to people all the time who are exiting their job and they want to become that fractional person and they don't have the structure to do it. So you're now my go-to resource for that. It makes it
Yeah.
really easy.
And if starting their own fractional business is too scary and they want structure and they have capital and time, then maybe franchise is the right answer for them. So I could see it be very symbiotic.
Yes, you remind me so much of a couple of other people I have really strong referral exchanges with
Yeah.
because the more I know your business, the better I can do my networking in order to identify the right people to send your way. It's really pretty easy right now. I think the number of fractional people, fractional professionals, is growing every year because who wants to have a boss when you can be your own boss?
Especially with the economic markets that we've been facing, the amount of layoffs that have happened, and people might have wanted to stay in corporate if they were given that choice, but the jobs have gone away. The AI disruption, we talked about the COVID and the pandemic disruption and how that affected some businesses, especially like think about how the restaurants had to pivot and they had to move to a delivery model, and like the boom of like DoorDash and Uber Eats delivery, right? But
Yeah.
I think AI is disrupting a lot of companies and a lot of businesses and how they hire talent too. So we'll see. But it's fun to be a resilient entrepreneur, to have the grit, but also to have the experience as well as the autonomy to make a change, make a decision, make a pivot, and find ways to continue to grow, I
I've
guess.
been using this phrase quite a bit recently. I think it came from one of my former military people. One of them is a former Navy SEAL, and he said, "Today is better than anything I dealt with yesterday."
I like that.
Another thing, that mentality of let yesterday go, you have today. Another mental shift that I'm quoting a lot is, I know you're frustrated, Kate. You can quit, but you can't quit until tomorrow. You
Yeah,
can quit, but not until tomorrow.
I like that. I like the today is better than anything yesterday was, right? And just thinking about it one day at a time. I think a lot of people are getting overwhelmed, um, by being bombarded with a lot of negative messaging, and you can only focus on what you can control and one day at a time. If you break it into small chunks.
And that's how you become resilient, because you're not manifesting this great big thing. You're on a day-to-day basis working towards a goal. And what's the old, you can't eat an elephant in one sitting.
Right.
So let's look at your business goals. If survival is your thing, great. Let's get there. Then you've got thriving. Let's get you to thrive. And that's by creating bigger goals, but manifesting the steps that will get you there.
Love that. And I'm huge on manifestation. Well, that's a whole nother conversation. I'm going to make that note too. Well, thank you.
Well, see, now when you come on my podcast, we've got all sorts of material.
Cool friends pulling on. Remember manifestation. Let's talk about, yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This has been so much fun. And I appreciate the open, honest vulnerability of sharing stories. I also learned something new. Like, I did not know you owned 7 businesses of your own. I mean, where do we even begin to start on that? But I love people that show up, share their stories, and encourage others to maybe go out on their own and be a business owner someday. And we didn't know. I didn't know what I was doing. You didn't know what you were doing in your 20s when you became your first business owner. I quit corporate in my 40s to become an entrepreneur and didn't really know. Right? This is my second chapter. We're figuring it all out. So thank
Good
you.
for you, and good for your husband too, for giving
Yes.
you that 1 year of space to, not a week, not a month, not a come on, let's hurry up. But that's a really generous husbandly thing to offer to a wife, to, and it goes both ways,
Right.
or to realize who you weren't, or who you were is not who you want to be in the future. And it takes time to create that new persona, and to put all the pieces together. And look at you, you've done it more than once now. So
Yeah, I
kudos to you.
agree. I think having a supportive spouse that gives you a chance to figure it out, take a risk, take a leap of faith, build something new, try something different, is a huge blessing that not everyone has. I was watching or reading about someone that said the people set up for success in today's economy and market have one steady Eddie corporate W-2 employee spouse and one business owner, entrepreneur, risk taker spouse that's shooting for the stars, right? You can't both be risk takers and both be doing the startup entrepreneur business thing because there's not that stability. And so it says that that's like the best recipe for success in a couple in a marriage right now. You don't need to have 2 W-2 employees that are going to be told how much they can make and be, controlled, right? Have that one corporate steady Eddie, which is my spouse, same company, 20 years, and then have me shooting for the stars, taking the risks, and maybe we'll make it big.
And once you have the financial stability, this is what I find, and you'll see it in the First Friday group. I dedicated one of the seasons of my podcast to spouses who, one wanted to do the business, the other one continued on in their current capacity. The business got to scale where the other spouse then was able to join in the business. Now you've got two people with financial freedom and the ability to focus on building it bigger. It doesn't always work. Not every spouse couple is meant to work together.
Yeah.
Not everybody can make that work, but I have seen a number of couples who said, hey, if I join the business, we can grow that much exponentially faster.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know that we would work well together. I think it's good that we have our own thing.
Yes. Well, like with Pete, he runs his businesses, I run mine. But we collaborate, and because it's what's good for Meg is good for Pete and vice versa.
Right. We have the conversations at night. I'm thinking about doing this. Is this totally radical? And like, is this grounded? Is this uh and also like I am that risk taker, X factor person, and he's over analytical, more, plan prepared, you know, guy. So, but it works. It works. Well, now that you've been on my show, Meg, and you have a huge podcast that's successful, do you recommend anyone for me to interview next? I think you were recommended to me by Jamie White.
Yeah.
And I grow my podcast one at a time by asking each guest to recommend a new guest.
Oh my goodness. From the First Friday group, I could introduce you to a whole bunch of people who would be interested in this.
Yeah, I would love to come to your First Friday group. That's the mentorship group. And then maybe we'll pick someone from there.
Good. So the next meeting, it's the first Friday of every month, unless
Okay.
it falls on a holiday. So
Okay.
it'll be the first Friday of February. I'll send the invitation to you this afternoon.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. This has been so fun.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate
Oh,
you.
I am so glad we were able to make the timing work. Thank you.
Thank you.